Thank you very much. You know, I've been working on libertarian campaigns for 20 years, and this is the most exciting thing I've ever been involved with in my life. Is that true for you? But the thing is about campaigns is they are by nature, whether we win or lose, temporary. But the revolution is permanent. We got to make sure that this continues beyond Election Day. Now, Dean Santoro has stepped up to the plate and is going to run for office. A lot of us need to do that. There's other things we can do. What I'm here to talk about is an organization called the Republican Liberty Caucus, which is a caucus of libertarians that operate within the GOP. We've been around since 1990, and in fact, Dr. Paul was the chairman of this organization on the national level in the mid-90s, in between his two stints in Congress. He resigned as our chair in order to run for Congress again in 1996. So it's a strategy that has certainly worked for Dr. Paul, running as a principled libertarian in the Republican Party, and it's worked for a lot of other people too. I want to tell you real quick about some of the things that the RLC does to push libertarian ideas inside the GOP. For one thing, to get the full story, I'm going to direct you to our website, rlcfl.org. That's like rlcflorida.org. For the full story, because this is going to be a little abbreviated since I have a debate to go to. But I want to share with you a couple of the projects that we do on a regular basis to get Ron Paul's ideas out in the GOP. For one, the RLC of Florida has a speakers bureau. We have about half dozen speakers on the bureau right now, one of which is myself. I give a talk called What is Libertarianism? We also have a retired police chief from North Florida who talks about drug prohibition and its negative effects. We have a new speaker on the Speakers Bureau named Adam Gillette, who is a specialist on the Florida property taxes, and that's going to be a big issue in this coming session of the legislature. Now, this Speakers Bureau, because we're a Republican caucus, what we do with the Speakers Bureau is we set up speakers at our local Republican clubs around the state. So, for instance, as an RLC member, I joined my local Republican club. Now, you guys, many of you probably have been active in politics before now, maybe some of you have not. But you can imagine that setting up a speaking event takes a lot of work, generally. You have to get a location, you got to make phone calls, maybe do mailing, you got to basically fill the hall, right, and pay the bills. Now, when you're part of an organization like the RLC, it's a lot easier, because I'm a member of a regular mainstream Republican club. All I have to do is go to the chairman of my club, after my monthly meeting, and say, hey, I've got a great speaker who wants to come and speak at the next meeting about libertarian ideas. You know what they're going to say? They're going to say, sure. Because the Republican clubs are looking for a speaker every single month. You are doing them a favor. They're not going to try to silence you. They're going to invite you up, give you a microphone. And you're not going to have to make any phone calls to invite people there. And you're not going to have to rent a hall or do any of these things. All you do is put the speaker in front of them. It's easy. And we're doing this because we have a network throughout the state. We're having speakers speak at Republican clubs all over Florida. And there's something else the RLC does to spread libertarian ideas is we do volunteer lobbying. Every session of the legislature in Tallahassee, we bring RLCers from all around the state to go to Tallahassee. We hire a consultant that sets up all the appointments and everything for us, and we, whatever our issue is, we go and we make our presentations to the leadership of both House and Senate and as many of the legislators as we can. It's, again, particularly right now when the Republicans have the control of both houses and the governor, this is a very effective and very simple and very inexpensive thing to do. It all comes from being part of the network. The RLC also has outreach events, outreach tables and booths at Republican conventions, Republican events. The Young Republicans Convention, for instance, on a regular basis. We often use that two-dimensional Nolan chart, which you've probably seen around. Libertarians of all parties like to use this. And so we'll set up the Nolan chart at a Republican event and have a literature table. And folks will come and take our quiz, and we'll decide, and we'll graph them and find out if they're libertarians or not. If they are, well, we ask them to join the RLC, and our army gets bigger. We also run for party and public offices, like Dean's doing. Dean is in charge of the RLC in Miami, and he's running for Congress. We got to support our guys who run with these libertarian ideas for Congress. And I'll tell you a little success story that I was surprised tonight. In the audience tonight is an elected Libertarian Republican, member of the RLC from Massachusetts named Bob Headland. Right back here. Can't miss him, he's a tall guy. Next to the other tall guy with the hat. It works. You can't run third party, you can't run indie and expect to get anywhere. Ron did it in '88. People didn't even know after Election Day that he ran for president of the United States in 1988. This time, everyone in the country knows he's running, and everybody in the country knows what he believes in. Because he's using the existing infrastructure of the Republican Party. You're not building your own from scratch. It's there. Use it. It's ours. We're all Republicans now. We all had to switch if we weren't all ready to vote for Ron. Don't switch back. Keep the revolution going. The other key thing we do, we don't hold meetings off to the side. Well, we do. Our main meetings are not held off to the side, away from the party, away from the action. We hold our meetings in conjunction with our local Republican clubs. So when you join the RLC, we're not going to say, okay, RLC has its meetings at Wednesday once a month. Please show up and join us and then hang out with a bunch of RLCers. No, we join our local mainstream regular Republican clubs. That way, we get to teach. We're not preaching to the converted. And when we bring our speakers into these clubs, we're not having our libertarian speakers talk to a bunch of libertarians. We're having our libertarian speakers talk to a group that may be 10, 15, 20% top libertarian. And again, it's easy. It's the way to go. We use our network to promote other organizations' projects that are in line with our principles. This weekend, there's a convention in Orlando by a group called Americans for Prosperity, and they're putting together a coalition to put a Tabor-type amendment in Florida's Constitution to restrain spending. Well, that's something the RLC supports. We're going to be working with them on it this weekend. The RLC also has a national PAC, which gives money to candidates that are running on the national level. And of course, Ron has been the largest recipient of RLC PAC money ever and has always been endorsed by our organization. And so we're always looking for people to run, people to be active in the local level. Like I said, campaigns are temporary. The revolution is permanent. Please join us. It's the Republican Liberty Caucus. Thank you.